Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we will explore the cause and effect of just saying yes in your everyday life or in business. I will dig into topics that are not just stimulating, but will challenge you to be better in everything you do. The podcast is based on the simplicity of saying yes to opportunities you might encounter every single day. I'm your host, Jim Riley. Join me in my first series titled Blue Collar Redefined. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate all the listeners out there and the comments and feedback I get every single week from everybody. Keeps me going. Got a message from my friend Mark this morning thanking me for the show, and this means a lot to get those types of messages. I'm going to keep going. Well, we had the 4th of July last week. Can't believe we're already rolling into a new week so fast. And if you are like me living in Southern California, we suffered the last 5 days, man. It's been over 100 degrees, 110, 115 in some areas here. And I just see everybody post on their social media how hot it is. Now, I've been the kind of guy that's been going to the river my whole life at 115, 120 over the summer. But I don't know, they always say the dry heat's a better heat. And I have to agree with that because it's been pretty miserable around here. But we survived, had a great 4th of July, watched the fireworks with my kids. And just so happy to be living in this country where we can celebrate Independence Day and off into a wonderful weekend of friends and family. So hopefully you all did the same out there. Last week we had Ryan Carson on the show. He had a great story about his programming trade school and everything that he's up to. And I hope you had a chance to check out that show. I think it was a great one. And if you haven't heard the Baja Sessions every Monday, check it out. This week we launched Drew Deckman. I got to say it was probably one of my more favorite interviews. We did that out on the deck of his restaurant overlooking the Valle de Guadalupe, and a little bit of breeze on the show, but we still had a great time, and the content was just incredible. So if you have not listened to a Baja Sessions episode yet, please check that one out. You will love Drew's story. I really was contemplating putting it on our Wednesday show, but he is in Baja, and we're trying to build up those Monday shows. So go back and check that out. Talking about the weather a minute ago, I mean, Spartan training in this heat has been a killer. So I've been challenged with trying to get my miles in. Right now I'm working my way up to 50 miles running per week. I think we're getting pretty close, but man, the heat's just been taking it out of me. If you guys have any tips for staying cool and getting in a lot of miles, I don't know if I have any runners out there in podcast world. Maybe there's some Spartans, but I would love to hear your input as to how to stay motivated as I start getting up in miles. Before the race, I should be up to 70 miles, and that's in September. So please, any tips from racers, runners, marathoners, let me know what's up. Had some bad news today. Had a off-road friend. We call him Big Daddy. It's Cameron Still's father passed away this week, and it was just unfortunate to hear that news. He's a big part of the off-road community. He will be missed. Cameron, we are sorry for your loss, Cameron and family. Great group of people, off-road, Baja legends, and I hope to get Cameron on my Baja Sessions show. So our thoughts and prayers go out to he and his family, and Big Daddy will be missed. All right, well, I think we have another great guest this week, and I just love looking through my Rolodex and some of the people I've known over the years and have had a chance to meet, and I love reaching out to them and asking them if they're willing to be on the show. And I just love friends that aren't fair weather friends, and I think this guest is one of them. I don't know her super well, but we spent a little bit of time together out in the desert and at some events in L.A., and I don't know, I just appreciate her picking up the phone and being able to tell her story. So this week, I've got Pilar Lastra on. If you listen to any sports radio, she's on Sirius. She's got a show all about sports and all fun things when it comes to that. But she's an actress. She's had a great career in the past. And literally her story is about picking up her bags and moving out to California. It doesn't get any more raw than that. It's the thing that you see in movies about a young girl packs her bags after school and hits the road and comes to California. She spent a lot of time on Deal or No Deal, which was a great show back in the day from 2005. I think it went till 2009. And anyways, I look forward to hearing your feedback on this show. And ladies, how about some great inspiration here from Pilar and what she's done and her attitude about moving forward and working in a man's world with a radio show. So without further ado, let's introduce Pilar and see what she's got to say on the show today. Hello and welcome to the Answer Is Yes podcast. And this is our second episode via Skype phone calls. I'm excited because it's opening up a whole bunch more doors for me to talk to people that have left Southern California and made lives for themselves outside of here. And I'm really excited to talk to Pilar Lastra today because I haven't seen her for a while, and we've been touching base on Instagram and the like. So, hey, how's it going today?
I'm great, Jim. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
I know.
Congratulations on the launch of it. It's amazing.
Oh, my gosh. It's been fun. It's a learning experience, and we're just hoping to add some value to people. So we're looking forward to hearing a little bit about your story. And I'm sorry I pulled you in from mulching today, whatever that is.
I know. Ever since I moved to Michigan, I had to learn how to pick weeds and mulch and pick more weeds and then throw down more mulch and shovel snow. It's quite the change from Southern California, but I'm happy I did it. It's a different challenge in life, and it's actually living in Michigan. I feel like it's a lot slower than what it was living in Southern California. And I'm sure you can relate. Like when you live in a town where everybody is go, 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 and everybody around you is nothing but go-getters, and like even moms, you see moms that are working a full-time job, being a full-time wife, and taking care of the house full-time, and then, still running their own business. I mean, it's crazy how much people do in California. So when I came out to Michigan, the cool thing was I travel a lot with my work, except for my radio show that I pretty much just do from my studio here, my house. But all my other gigs, I'll travel. I'm part of this like craziness, and then I come home and everybody's just chill and enjoying life, and it's living the lake life. It's kind of great.
But sounds
in turn,
wonderful.
I had to learn how to mulch and pick weeds.
I went to Montana last month, and I know what you're saying about slowing down. I mean, even just on the road, people go slow, and they move slow, and you get to the restaurants, you're like, oh, yeah, we're not in California. We need to be patient and enjoy the experience, right?
Yeah, and it's been a nice change for me because, one of the hardest things I found in leaving California when I met my husband, first I said, there's no way I'm ever going to leave California. And he was like, okay, that's fine. And then when I came to Michigan, I was like, well, this is what I get for never saying never. Like, now I want to move to Michigan. It's kind of fantastic. But I'm happy that I did. I'm happy that I said yes to him. I'm happy that I said yes to the move, because as hard as it was, Jim, to slow down, when I was at the top of my career, like I felt like even being at such a high level in my career, if I was to leave California, then what was going to happen? And I felt like there was just so many nights. I was tired, Jim. I was so tired. And I just never saying no and always saying, yep, sure, okay, I'll try it. I'll take this job. I'll take that job. I didn't feel like I was sleeping well at night. And then when I moved out here, my biggest fear was that suddenly I wasn't going to get all these job opportunities. And what I learned was that when you spend 15 years of your life pounding pavement the way that I was doing, like, and working so hard, you still get the phone calls, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's nice that I'm still getting the phone calls and people are still remembering me and say, hey, you work with us on this project. You want to come and work with us on another project. So my biggest fear was that I wouldn't be able to work anymore in Michigan. And I'm happy that I never let that stop me, because at some point, especially being a woman, the biggest challenge that you have is balancing a healthy love life, a healthy relationship, and a healthy work life.
Well, Yeah, I just think you've built a reputation of being a hard-working hustler, that it's not going to matter where you're at, you're going to get those calls. And that's the person I know you to be, is just a hard worker.
Yeah.
And all those years have paid off. But I am glad that you're able to slow down a little bit in your personal life and pick and choose probably what you want to do now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that's what I feel people work so hard for, right? Like, you work so hard in your life so that you don't have to say yes to every single job. Instead of taking 10 jobs to make what you would make in, 3 really high quality jobs, wouldn't you rather work smarter, not harder? So I finally feel like, wow, if I had not moved to Michigan, I don't think I would have ever really learned how much value I brought to my work. So I'm really happy I did it. It's a nice change.
Well, I think that is the perfect setup for our show today, because you're on the tail end of saying yes for so many years with so many incredible opportunities. I mean, if you just pulled up your Wikipedia link, you could see where you've been and kind of what you've done over your career. But it all has to start somewhere, and it all has to start with a yes or a willingness to do something. And I know a lot of our listeners don't know much about you. So if you would, could you kind of walk us through like your beginning career and when you started saying yes in life to things, and maybe tell us what took you to the next thing and eventually down the road to where you're in a position now to step aside and say no a little bit more often?
Yeah, so I was 16 years old when they did like this modeling and acting search back home in San Antonio, and I begged my mom, and she was like, honey, you're short. Like, what do you think you can model? And I was like, but they have petite models, Mom. And she was like, all right, if this is really what you want to do, we'll go for it. And I met a manager from LA. His name was Robert Knoll. He's amazing. I don't know if he's still in the business or not, because this was 17 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But he said, he said, finish high school, lose your baby fat, and move out to LA, and then look me up. And he didn't give me a business card. He didn't give me anything. It was just look me up. And so I did. I finished high school. I lost my baby fat. I moved to LA. I packed up my car. I had no idea where I was going, where I was going to stay. I just knew that he said, look me up. And I had an aunt and an uncle who lived in California. I figured I could stay with them a couple of weeks until I found a job or, a bartending gig, like something, and then my own apartment. But I had this 1990 Mustang that was my sister's, and it was in a wreck, so airbags were deployed. I had to, cut them out and tape everything back together, and it wasn't going to get me anywhere. So I had to rebuild the car, and I didn't have any money. So I rebuilt the car out of junkyard parts in a $15 handbook, like those, handbooks that you find at, AutoZone.
Yeah.
And so it took me 3 months to find all the parts that I needed out of the junkyard, rebuilt my car, made it to California, and I looked him up because I didn't even really have access to the internet the way that we do now.
Yeah.
I had to look him up in the greater Los Angeles phone book.
Oh my gosh.
And I found him, and I called him one day and I was like, hi, this is Pilar Lastra. I met you 2 years ago, and you told me to finish high school, lose my baby fat, and move here. And so I did. And he was like, what?
Are you kidding?
So he set up a meeting. Yeah, I don't think he thought that I was ever going to listen to, but that's what he told me to do. So I said, okay. And so Robert Knoll was the one who started my career. And that's exactly, I just looked him up in the phone book and was like, hey, I'm here. So, and he told me where to start taking my acting classes. And I started landing some really great, modeling gigs and nationwide spokesperson campaigns, and just one thing always led to another. And it wasn't ever like I said I was going to be a model or I was going to be an actress. It was always I'm just going to go out to LA and I'm going to get work as an entertainer, and see where that ends up. And the opportunities just kept falling into place. And then 8 years ago, SiriusXM came to me and said, I was doing lifestyle shows on small networks on Sirius and XM, and they came to us and said, hey, we want to do a fantasy football show, but we need girls to do it. And there's really not that many girls in the space. And so I was like, well, I've never done it before, but sure. And I worked really hard. I kicked butt my first year. And it was actually funny, Jim, because the way that my show succeeded was I was making friends with all the third stringers on the team, and they would give me a lot of playbook information. They would give me inside knowledge. So my stardom and sit-ins were on point.
Wow.
My injury report was amazing. And so my show did really well, and now all these years later, we're still on air.
Well, so
it's been a whirlwind, right?
When you even started, did you know anything about fantasy football, or did you follow football?
No, I did. So that yes. Growing up in Texas, you 100% know football from the moment you can like start walking and talking, you're able